The tank that nearly killed 3 astronauts passed every test NASA gave it. It sat in a warehouse for 2 years. It flew on a mission that never launched. It was dropped 4 inches during a routine move. No one filed a report. By April 1970, that tank was sealed inside the service module of Apollo 13, 90 feet behind the crew, holding enough compressed oxygen to keep 3 men alive for 8 days. This is the story of what happened when someone asked it to do one more routine thing: stir the tanks. In 1965, North American Rockwell raised the voltage running to the heaters inside the command module's oxygen tanks from 28 volts to 65. The thermostatic switches that were supposed to cut power if the tanks overheated were never upgraded to match. During a ground test on the launch pad, those heaters ran for 8 hours at the higher voltage. The switches welded shut. No one saw it happen. No one could see it happen. The damage was invisible. Later investigation would find that the wiring insulation inside tank number 2 had been degraded by temperatures near 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The tank was sealed back into the spacecraft. It passed every subsequent test. There was nothing left to measure. Apollo 13 launched from Kennedy Space Center on April 11, 1970, at 2:13 p.m. Eastern Time. Commander Jim Lovell, command module pilot Jack Swigert, added to the crew 2 days before launch after the original pilot was exposed to measles. Lunar module pilot Fred Hayes. Third mission to the moon. 2 days into the flight, the crew broadcast a live television tour of their spacecraft back to Earth. None of the major networks carried it. At 55 hours, 52 minutes into the mission, Capcom Jack Lusma radioed a routine instruction: stir the cryogenic tanks, a standard procedure done every few days to keep the oxygen and hydrogen from separating into layers inside the tanks. Swigert flipped the switch. Inside tank number 2, the fans began to turn. The exposed wiring, damaged 5 years earlier, was surrounded by pressurized oxygen for the first time since the ground test that damaged it. At 55 hours, 54 minutes, and 53 seconds, the spacecraft shuddered. A bang, then silence. Oxygen tank number 2 lost pressure, and the panel covering it separated from the service module. Oxygen tank number 1, damaged by the same shock wave, began leaking into space. On the ground, gauges across mission control began reading values that made no sense. Voltage dropping, pressure falling. Nothing added up, because nothing like this had a precedent to compare against. Jack Swigert keyed his microphone. "Houston, we've had a problem." Within minutes, it was clear both remaining oxygen tanks were failing. The command module Odyssey, the crew's only way home, was dying. The lunar landing 3 days from now was no longer the mission. Survival was the mission. The crew moved into the lunar module Aquarius, a spacecraft built to keep 2 men alive on the lunar surface for 2 days, now asked to keep 3 men alive for 4. It was never built for this. Carbon dioxide began accumulating faster than the lunar module's filters could remove it. The command module carried compatible filters. They were square. The lunar module's receptacles were round. Engineers on the ground built a fix out of a plastic bag, a cardboard flight manual cover, and tape, using only materials they confirmed were physically on board the spacecraft. To conserve power for reentry, the crew shut down nearly every system in both spacecraft and let the cabin temperature fall toward freezing. Condensation, frost, silence. The spacecraft swung around the far side of the moon on a free return trajectory, using lunar gravity to bend its path back toward Earth without a lunar landing. For a window of time, the 3 men aboard were farther from another human being than anyone in history had ever traveled. With Earth 2 days away, the crew began the slow work of powering the dormant command module back to life, following a procedure Mission Control had built from scratch in 72 hours. Nothing had ever tested this sequence. The lunar module Aquarius, having kept them alive for 4 days, was jettisoned. For the first time, the crew and the ground got a clear look at the service module. An entire panel had been torn away. No one on the ground could confirm what condition the heat shield was in. It sat directly beneath that panel. Re-entry blackout was expected to last roughly 3 minutes, the normal length caused by ionized plasma blocking radio signals. It ran long. By NASA engineer Jerry Woodfill's account, the blackout extended roughly 87 seconds beyond what Mission Control had calculated, with no confirmed explanation at the time for why. For those 87 seconds, every radio channel in Mission Control carried the same sound, static. At 1:07 p.m. Eastern Time on April 17, 1970, the command module Odyssey splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, within sight of the recovery ship USS Iwo Jima. All 3 men alive. The Apollo 13 Review Board's investigation traced the failure back to that 1965 voltage change and the thermostatic switches that were never upgraded to match it. The tank had been damaged for 5 years before anyone asked it to do one more routine thing. Serial number 10024, X to 0009. Recovered, cataloged, never flown again.